Black IPA, the paradox of beers. Dark and chocolatey, but hopped like an IPA with notes of citrus and pine. And it's incredible. Stick around, I'll show you how I brewed mine. What's up guys, it's Zach here from Metal and Homebrew. Welcome back to another grain to glass video, and this one I'm particularly excited about because number one, I think I finally fixed the mash temperature issues I was talking about in the last video, and number two, we're brewing a beer style that I've never brewed before, and in all honesty I've only just really got into, but I've absolutely fallen in love with, and that is a Black IPA. So I had Northern Monk's Dark Arches recently, and I just thought it was an absolutely stunning beer. So Northern Monk, if you're not from the UK, are a northern brewery that makes some really, really nice craft beer, and they're the brewery that got me into craft beer in the first place. And this is one of their, I think it's an older beer, but they've just re-brought it back for this year, and it's absolutely spot on. So Black IPAs are a bit of a paradox, I think, and I think that's why I like them, because they're a dark beer, so you get all of that sort of smooth chocolatiness that you'd associate with porters and stouts, but with none of the roastiness or anything like that, and then it's hopped like an IPA. So you're getting like almost like West Coast IPA, old school vibes with loads of pine and citrus, and it just cuts through that dark malt beautifully. Just makes a really weirdly refreshing beer, even though you wouldn't expect it to be. So I've had a go at brewing it, and it's come out good. So let's get into it then. So as always, we'll start with the water. I've started with spotless water, reverse osmosis water, so blank slate again, as I always do. And I've targeted the Brewfather hoppy profile. It's got sort of a 2-to-1 sulfate to chloride ratio, which should work nicely because we're treating this like an IPA, not necessarily a dark beer. So we want that sulfate to help accentuate those piney notes and the sort of hot bitterness in there. But we don't want it to go too far that it's extreme and too dry, because I still want a little bit of body to this. So as you can see, it's sort of roughly 2-to-1, and that should lend itself nicely to this beer, I think. On to the recipe itself then. There's a few grains going into this, but it's not outlandishly complicated. My base malts are around 83% is going to be pale ale. I love, Golden Promise. I love Golden Promise. I think it's a really nice, crisp, nice biscuity base to use for these styles of beer. It always works really nicely, so that's what I've gone for. I'm then adding about 6% of wheat malt. That will help with a little bit of body, head retention, which I think I do want in this beer, because I do want a little bit of body to it. I don't want it to be super dry and crisp like a West Coast IPA. I'm then adding 5% each of Munich malt and Carafa Special 3. The Munich malt should just bring a little bit more colour and a touch of sort of biscuity flavour to it. And then the Carafa Special 3, it's not going to add any roastiness, hopefully, but it should bring some nice chocolatey dark malt character, but without the roastiness you'd associate with porters or stouts. They're only small amounts, but it should bring just enough flavour in there, because if you go too hard with those really dark grains, you're probably going to spoil this beer. Right, the mash. You can quite clearly see I've mashed in here, and this time, as I didn't do last time, I have checked my mash temperatures. I'm running my Brewzilla 5 degrees hotter on the screen than what I'm aiming for. So I'm aiming for a 65 degrees C mash, cookie cutter mash. Nothing fancy. It should work really nicely. It'll give us a nice blend of sugar change, so we won't be too dry, but we won't be too full-bodied. Just somewhere right bang in the middle, and just make it nicely drinkable, dry enough, but with enough body to make it tasty and just work nicely with those dark malts. Once the mash is completed, I'm going to raise the grain bag out and sparge in my usual way, so with the jug of water over the top, and whilst that's happening, I'll be heating up towards boil temperature and then just do a little bit of cleaning and everything else in between. We are now at a nice steady rolling boil, so this is a perfect time to talk about the hops for this beer, because this is essentially what makes, well, it's not what makes this beer, because that's the beauty of this beer. Both the malts and the hops together is what make it unique and different. But what we're starting with at the 60-minute mark, so we're doing a 60-minute boil, is some Columbus, just purely for bittering. It makes a really nice bittering hop. So that's going in at the 60-minute mark. We're looking for about 45 IBUs out of that. From that point on, we're sticking with Centennial and Simcoe, which are classics for this style of beer. So we're doing a 10-minute edition of Centennial and Simcoe. We're keeping them 50-50. That will just bring through the nice pine and citrus flavours and a little bit of extra bitterness. We're then doing a hop stand, so 20-minute hop stand at 80 degrees C. Again, a 50-50 Centennial and Simcoe. Again, just bring through those nice pine and citrus flavours. Right, we might as well talk about the fermentation and the yeast now. So I'm going with the classic sort of Chico strain. I'm going with LAX from WHC. It attenuates nicely. It's a very clean fermenting yeast, and it won't give much yeast character to this beer. I don't think you'd go too far wrong. You could potentially use a New England style yeast like like Verdant IPA or something like that and get a little bit more yeast character, and I think that would play nicely as well. But I want this to be a more traditional sort of black IPA, so I don't really want any yeast character, hence why I've gone with that. It should lend itself really nicely to this beer. So the fermentation I'm doing on this is mega simple. I'm going to pitch around 18, 19 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to ferment for the first couple of days at 19 degrees Celsius. Once I get to within sort of 10, 15 points of my final gravity, I'm then going to do a steady temperature ramp up to 22 degrees C. So I'm just going to go 1 degree C a day up to 22, and then I'm going to let it completely finish out. And then I'll start thinking about dry hopping. And then finally, we are going to dry hop this. We're going to let the beer fully ferment out, and we're going to dry hop it again with Simcoe and Centennial, but we're going with a little bit more Simcoe than Centennial this time. And that should promote a good balanced pininess, but with a good hit of citrus to cut through it all. It should work really nicely. The way I'm going to dry hop this is the same way I did my last beer. So I'm going to let it ferment out fully and then bubble up a little bit of CO2 through the fermenter, pop the lid and whack the dry hops in. I'm going to dry hop at fermentation temperature and just leave it for a couple of days with the dry hops in, and then get it kegged and packaged. The beauty of that is hopefully I'll avoid any oxidation, and by letting it fully ferment out, it should promote the sort of piney and fresh citrus rather than trying to make it juicy like a New England IPA. So that's the way we're going to do that. It's worked for me in the past, and I've got no doubt it's going to work again this time. So as expected with the LAX yeast, this fermentation went really smoothly, really rapidly. I think within a week I was down to final gravity and had my dry hops in for 48 hours. It's smelling incredible, and it's come out at 6.7%, which is bang on what we were aiming for this beer. So I've got it in the keg, cold crashing and carbon up now, and we'll come back when it's ready to drink. Right, the final product then. As you saw in the little clip there, it's got a nice tan white sort of head on there. It's very, very dark. If you hold it up to the light, it does let some light through, and it's got a nice sort of almost purpley tinge to it, but it looks absolutely lovely. I'm mega happy with the way it looks. So we'll get straight into it. Smell is exactly what I would expect. So it just smells of pine with a little bit of citrus. It smells like an old school sort of IPA. There's no real malt character on the nose as such. There's maybe a slight hint of chocolate on there, but it's mainly the pine you get through there, and it's exactly what I wanted out of this beer in terms of the smell. So we'll get into the rest of it. Mouthfeel first then. So I brewed this with a 2:1 sulfate to chloride ratio. So on paper that should give you quite a clean, bitter, very old school dry IPA vibe. It hasn't actually come out quite as dry as I thought it was going to, which in my opinion has made this better, because I like a slightly fuller body. If you've ever had Dark Arches by Northern Monk, which is the beer I mentioned at the start of this video, it's almost smooth and sort of, it's not New England IPA sort of territory, but it's definitely smooth and not overly bitter and overly dry, which is what I wanted for this, and it's come out exactly like that. So it's got like a lovely, almost cask smoothness to it, which I think is absolutely stunning in this beer, and it really, really works. And I definitely wouldn't change that. That water profile is absolutely cracking for this beer, and if you're going to brew one, I would say definitely give that water profile a go, because that has worked lovely. But the next thing we need to get onto is the flavour, and I absolutely love this beer. I'm not going to bullshit you. That is one of the best beers I've made in a very long time. I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but because quite often there's usually, when you brew a beer, there's issues with it or things you're not that happy with. This is absolutely lovely. It is the same as the aroma. So with that mouthfeel, it's smooth and crushable at 6.7%, dangerously so. There's no roastiness, which there shouldn't be anyway, but you still get that nice dark malt, chocolatey, rich vibe in there. It's not remotely overpowering because the hops kick in straight away, and then you just get a massive hit of pine and a little bit of citrus in there, and it's just so easy to drink that. I could drink that all night long and all year round. That'd be a great winter beer, but equally, despite the fact that it's the dark beer, would be very nice on a hot summer's day. So for me, there's not much I would change in that recipe. I certainly wouldn't change the grain bill because I think it's perfect. I wouldn't change the water profile because I think that's worked absolutely beautifully, and I wouldn't change the hop choices because they've worked beautifully as well. I mean, I'd happily have that as it is. I think it's a really genuinely good beer, and I would say if you are going to have a go at it, brew it exactly as it is to start with. If I really wanted to get nitpicky, the only slight change I'd make is I might up the aroma hop, the sort of the whirlpool hop, and the dry hop by maybe 10%, because it could do with just a tiny, tiny little bit more, I think. But that is splitting hairs. I don't think it doesn't need that. It works. It would just be very personal preference. But that is generally a really, really nice beer, and I would urge you to give it a go. If you don't want to brew one and you want to try one, as I say, Dark Arches by Northern Monk, they sell it in Sainsbury's at the moment, is, I think, an absolutely beautiful beer. And it was what I sort of aimed for with this. I didn't want to clone it, I wanted my own beer, but that was my sort of guide. And that has come pretty close to that. So if you try Dark Arches, it's very similar to what this is if you're thinking about giving it a go. But as always, I hope you enjoyed that. Please feel free to check out any of my other videos. And if you enjoyed that, please do give it a like and consider subscribing. Cheers.